Hi guys, it's Lillian. Thanks so much for joining me today. And I have some great tips to share with you on how I repurpose Happy Mail envelopes. And not only these, but also junk mail envelopes and the inner envelopes that come in your junk mail sometimes. So I'm going to show you what I do with these, and it's going to blew me away, you guys. Okay, and I know all of you have seen altered envelopes, but I am taking it just a little bit further with repurposing these, not just altering them, but actually putting them to great use. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for a second. Right now, I want to show you what I do to repurpose Happy Mail envelopes and junk mail envelopes again. So what I do with this portion of it. And so what I've done is I will punch out and save all of the postage or interesting postage, even not so interesting postage. But you know, once you've punched it out and you have, what is this? You've distressed the edges. It takes something that looks really plain and turns it into something fabulous. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So here's how I've reused one of the stamps and I've distressed it. And so it's gone from just this punch to something that looks like this. And I'll show you that in just a second. So here's the easy part. The easy part is I have this punch from Stampin' Up. I don't know if it's still available, but I'm sure there's something similar out there. And I find what is most interesting in this postage seal, and I really like this part right here, so I'm going to focus on that. And once you see it through the lens of the punch, it really starts to change and starts taking shape, and you can see that looks a lot more interesting than something like this. So I'm just going to punch that out and then set that aside. And then to make it even more fabulous, then I take some ink and just distress the edges. I've been doing this for a little bit. You can tell from my fingers I've got distressed fingertips. So now we have our little DIY repurposed ephemera. So I save and I stash these for later use. And I do the same thing with the Happy Mail envelopes. These are too precious to discard. And so I'll also punch these out. For example, again, now I'm not reusing the postage. I'm using this as ephemera to use in my junk journals, scrapbooking, name it, I'll use it. And so see there, when you see it through the lens of the punch, it just takes different shape. So that's what I do with these as well. So save your envelope, save your junk mail, and repurpose that. You can also use, if you don't have this punch, you could do the same thing with the decal edge scissors. So you could do that. I'm going to set that aside for a second and then show you. So now that now that I have these, well, what do you do with them? I'll show you what I do with these. So I already told you I distress them. Then I use them to make faux postcards. And that's what I've done with this. And I actually I created some coffee-dyed index cards. Hello. So these were plain white index cards, and I coffee-dyed them. Look at how great they look. And so I've taken these to make these faux index cards, repurposing that little stamp there, and I'll show you a few others. So here's this one, and then I'll take just bits and pieces of the ephemera that I have. And then here's this one. I really like this one. And here I actually coffee dyed some plain white tickets. And then I just placed it there and took some of my little teeny weeny little stamps from my stash. For example, like these. These are from my planner kits. But all of these little stamps, you can see I've used them a lot. So you take your stamps, go through your stash, put cute little words on your ticket, And then there you go, faux postcard. Here's another one. This one was on a yellow envelope. I just distressed it a little and added the ticket. And then I stamped on the reverse side. And I use these as journaling cards in the junk journals that I've created lately. And I'll show you how to stash these in secret pockets of your junk journal. So just want to share that with you. So there you go. Don't discard these. Oh, let me show you really quick. Let me stamp one for you. So here is, I've already cut this from the envelope. So I'm going to position it over to what I think is most interesting. There we go. Garbage. Well, it's already garbage. I'm just repurposing the garbage. Here we go. That. Here's another. And I think these make interesting little pieces of ephemera that you can use on your layouts. So there you go. And these, all we do again is we will take our ink. Oh, here we go. And then just distress it. And they are ready to go. That way they'll pop. They'll actually show better on your project. And if you think that's still too white, you could go in there and just lightly color it in. And then you can go over the edges to give it more dimension. There you go. Just lightly go over it. And it goes from stark white to something a little more vintage, faux vintage postage stamp right there. So that's a great tip for you. So get out and do some repurposing. So just wanted to share that. The other thing I want to share with you guys is what I do with these envelopes. I know you have some. So I keep each and every one of these, and I actually stash them in the number 10 envelopes that I already have. So these are my regular envelopes, just store-bought. And then I just keep them all together in the box. You could also use these as well, but this is a great way to repurpose what you're already getting in the mail and create something beautiful out of it. So I will set these aside for a second. Oh, I just want to show you before and after. So let's leave that one out for a second. And I'm going to show you what I've done, how I've gone from here, from this to, ta-da! You guys, look what I created. You've seen altered envelopes before, right? But this is not just an altered envelope. It's actually, I've turned it into a journal card. Now, there are a lot of junk journalers out there, and you've got the hidden pockets in the journals, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And I'll show you what I'm talking about because it's better to show you than try to explain, but you'll see. Anyhow, so here's the envelope. I've just done some collaging, went through my stash. There's one of those tickets again, and then I punched out a little tab with this punch right here, and then added it there on the top, just glued it. It's not stable, it's just glued. I don't want to interfere with the actual pocket here. I've covered the entire envelope, front and back, right here, and this is excuse me, I keep saying tea dyed. It's coffee dyed. Coffee dyed paper. I just took a notepad and coffee dyed the paper. Look at how beautiful that is. So I love using this for journaling. And so here is the pocket. So what you could do is take one of your faux postcards or journaling card, and then you can now slide it into the pocket. Now becomes a secret journaling spot for your junk journal. Look at that. Absolutely wonderful. And here is another that I've done. Another one. Look at that. This one also has a little hidden postcard in here. Okay, here is another that I've done. This section right here was actually a brown paper sack that I stamped and then tore and distressed a little bit. So some of these are you know, recycling. Others are new products from my stash. And believe it or not, all these little pieces are scraps from my scrap bag. And I'll show you what that looks like. We all have one, either a drawer, a box. I try to keep it to this. So this is what I've been working with to make my envelopes. So I will move that aside. Okay, and I'll show you another one. Here's this one. Look at that. And here is another. So they are altered envelopes, recycled envelopes, but they're now journal cards. And when I say journal cards, it's because, and I'll show you in my junk journal, like I said, just one more to share, one more to show you. Okay, I'm gonna grab I created an altered book, and I'll be doing a separate flip through video of my altered book. But right now I want to show you how it is that I use these large pockets for the junk journal. So here's my junk journal. Excuse me, my altered book that I just created, and I just finished it. And it is full of beautiful, beautiful things. And look at that chunky monkey. Look at that. Chunky, chunky. I love it. So I'll do a separate video on this, but right now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you how we're going to use the repurposed envelopes in the journals. Okay, are we there? Are we in? Can you guys see that? Yes. Okay, so most of us have struggled when we've made the hidden pockets in our journals. You either have to glue, or you have to sew, or you have to make a really long tag to keep your journal card from falling too far down and then not being able to access it or pull it out. So that's how I came up with the genius idea of using these as journal cards. So when you flip it over, you can do all of your journaling here, but then you also have your secret journaling card that you've stashed away in the envelope. And you could see how, can you see that right here? It is the perfect length of the book. And by adding a tag, either one that you've bought or made, or one that you've punched out. And so here's the opening of the hidden pocket. Now I slide that back in there, and it's not going to fall and get lost in the page. It is the absolute perfect length, and I discovered that just by accident, and I thought I could really use these for journaling cards. So secret pocket here, and then secret pocket right here. Isn't that clever, you guys? Clever. See, here's an example of what I'm talking about. So here's a side pocket card that I created. See how it gets lost in there? So I need to come up with a better idea for this right here, because this is just a book page folded in half. I'll talk about that when I do the flip through video of this. But here's another envelope, repurposed envelope right here. Absolute perfect length. Look at that. Then you pull it out of its secret pocket. Here it is. And you've got other pocket here to use your faux postcards with all of your repurposed items. And then you've got that in there. So you've got journaling that you really don't want anybody else to look at. So then you slide it back in. Voila, there you go. So I will do a flip through of this to share all the yummy goodness in this book with you. So here we go. Here's another view of these. Hope this inspires you guys to repurpose all of your junk goodies that come for free in the mail. You don't need to go shopping. Just use what you have and repurpose. I love to come up with new ideas on how to repurpose junk mail or repurpose scrap items and things that are just found in my house. And I appreciate you guys watching watching this. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. And please share in the comments what you think about this. And if it's something you'd like to try out, let me know. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much, you guys, and I will see you next time.